Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pogo Play. Today, we are actually going to be doing something entirely different. We're not going to be raging, cursing, or being toxic on a stream. We'll do a study of the new PuP, the new public access patch. Um, the patch of the month of April will basically introduce the rework of the Spanish civilization. And the Spanish have a very particular role to play in a game like Age of Empires 3, being one of the greatest colonial and imperial powers of their time, having colonized the Americas, brought Catholicism to the New World, and for the most part. And I think some of these new cards try to bring a new way to play Spain. They want to change the current FF kind of mentality or build orders. They want to give Spain a little bit of a different approach. They just don't want this civilization to be simply an FF civilization. So what I will do today, I will simply discuss the new cards first. We will then see if there are good builds to be seen in terms of like strats, if there's anything that is broken or if anything that seems a little bit too strong. Now, keep in mind that this is a PuP, which means that these changes are not final. These changes are on the work, and some of them are being tested. So we're gonna go one by one, and we're also going to do a little bit of historical discussion on the Spanish balance, but also on their cards, on the significance of some of these cards, because these cards are very peculiar, and I think that we need to understand the context, the historical context that is influencing some of these changes. People often forget that yes, it is a game. Yes, it is part of of, of a game balance. Each rework aims to rework a civilization to make it more fun, to make it more flexible, to have different approaches. But there's also a lot of historical flavor behind most of these changes. We saw it with the addition of the Rangers for the British, but we also see it with this new patch. And we're going to read the cards first. I'm going to talk a little bit about the historical facts regarding these cards, these changes, and then we will see how this affects into how these new cards will eventually affect the gameplay. So let's go one by one. Um, let's go by H1. So I don't know if this is too loud. I'm probably just gonna cut the audio here for a second. Let me just see. Options, sound. Yeah, that's at the maximum. That's why. Okay, yeah, that's why you couldn't probably hear me. It's because the PuP kind of resets this to a kind of standard basic setup. So let's go. Do we have any changes in H1 for the Spanish? We do have one change. We have now the card Unction. Uh, the card Unction is a must for Spanish players. It basically allows you to create the missionaries, and missionaries boost the attack of nearby units. Now, this card has been changed in two ways. Number one, the Unction card, the missionaries no longer require population. So you can have up to 10 missionaries, and they will not require that extra 10 population that they used to take. Now that is a buff to the civilization, and it is problematic, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Number two, the second effect of unction in H1 is that um, the aura of effect, the attack damage aura, is also increased, meaning that keeping your missionaries literally in the front lines is not going to be necessary anymore. You will have your missionaries near your army, close to the battle lines, but not in front of the in front of the battle lines, and your units will still get that attack aura bonus. If you played Spain before, you knew how painful it was that you had to keep your missionaries close to your army, and then have your opponent snipe your missionaries one by one, and then you lose some of them, and then they start running all across the battlefield, and they get killed even further. So that card is being changed. Now the third and final change being made to Unction is that the card will no longer affect artillery. Now, this is a big problem. I think this is going to be problematic, especially for 30 players. The Unction card allowed Spain to compete against civilizations that had a more powerful artillery kind of composition, namely French and Sweden. They have cards of their own that boosts artillery damage, hit points, etc., etc. Now, Unction was the Spanish solution to that problem in treaty. It allowed Spain to compete on the artillery front on equal or superior footing to when compared to their enemies, but that is no longer the case. So three changes made to Unction. Let's go recap. One, missionaries no longer require population. Two, missionary aura is increased. And three, missionary aura no longer affects artillery. Big changes to the Unction card. It is now an H1 card, so that frees up space for H2 cards. Are there any other new cards? Not that I see. These cards are all pretty good in terms of balance. I feel this card is kind of balanced. It's a trade-off, but I have a problem with this card, and I'll tell you guys right now what I think about this card. If missionaries no longer cost population, does that mean that other civilizations that use missionary type units will get affected in the same way? I am thinking about Hausa. I'm thinking about Ethiopia. I'm thinking about civilizations that use griots or the monastery priests to buff armies, to stun units, to heal armies. If those units no longer require population, that might become a very big balance issue, not only in supremacy but in treaty, because you will see now armies full of missionaries healing units behind the lines and being completely annoying. So, I like the fact that missionaries no longer take population, but is it going to be balanced? Are other civilizations going to be affected by it? We shall see. Let's go to the Commerce Age. Commerce Age, second era. Super important in terms of Spanish, aggression. Historically, the Spanish and the Portuguese were one of the very first European colonizing powers. They were the first ones to discover the new lands, the first ones to settle these new lands, and as such, you would expect Spain to play a very aggressive H2, um, gameplay. But in reality, Spain hardly plays H2. It did for a little while they had the logistician, but now it went back to the previous meta where Spain would only play the fast fortress. And that was very peculiar. Now we have two new cards. Let's go talk about the new cards. The first one is the Reconquista. What is the Reconquista? It means the reconquest. Now, for those of you that are not very well versed in history, Spain, or most of the Iberian Peninsula, was occupied by Muslim forces for a very long period of time. The southern part of Spain was actually occupied by a Muslim civilization that flourished in Spain, and the Reconquista or the Reconquest eventually is kind of like a crusade. There were kind of crusades or wars of reconquest, retaking that national territory from these Muslim occupiers that became a civilization in the south of Spain and Portugal by the Spanish Catholic kings. So the Reconquista, the card says it ships one conquistador for each 5 archaic infantry units you have lost. What is the conquistador? I have no clue. It must be a brand new unit. I will see what it is in a couple of seconds when we go into a game. But This card is mostly a rush card, so you make 5 units and you will get one conquistador for every 5 units you have lost. So, not sure if I like that card, but we shall see. The second new card is House of Trastamara, and basically means that your next age up is cheaper and faster the more shipments you have received in your current era. Now, this card is basically a card that will allow you, Spain, to fight in H2 to put pressure on your opponent. And once the battles, once you have both kind of fallen back to your bases and thinking about your next move, you can send this card and not only go to H3, but you'll be able to go to H3 a lot faster. Now, this card will also work if you want to FF, but keep in mind that the benefits, the cheaper age up and the faster age up will be influenced by the amount of shipments that you have sent in H2. So we will have to test these two cards and see the new unit, the Conquistador. I'm kind of curious as to what it is because it doesn't seem like you can send it from the home city. It must be like a Spahi kind of unit. Now let's go to H3, the Fortress H. Now the Fortress H is the golden age for Spain. It is the era where the current top players play Spain to the maximum effect. That's where they like to play. They like to send their shipments. They like to fight it, and they like to either win or lose the game. Now the problem with this particular build was that it was very predictable. Spain would always 9 times out of 10 would go fast fortress and just send shipments and win. It was very repetitive and very predictable. Now we have brand new cards in H3, and we also have a rework of existing cards. Now, how is it going to affect the gameplay? We shall see. But there's also some potential benefits for treaty that I will address in a couple of seconds. So the first card, it's called Marvelous Year, and it reads: Settlers train and work significantly faster for 365 seconds. 365 seconds, 365 days. So you have a marvelous year. Viva España, so long live Spain. So settlers train and work faster. Now, what are we talking about here? What we're talking is this card is basically a booster. Your settlers will pump out of the TCs faster. Your settlers will work really, really fast. So this card has a lot of potential both for treaty and for supremacy. If you're playing treaty, you can send this card once you have your 3 TCs, and you can basically do a whole settler boom incredibly fast, and then have your whole economy and then just play late game. So for treaty, excellent card. What about supremacy? When would you send this card? A lot of people are thinking that usually when you play Spain, you have one of the options going to H2 from H3. A lot of people would go for the TC. So if you have 2 TCs, you can send this card and get a lot of settlers out and get a lot of resources out, and basically have like a little bit of an economic boom to sustain your Spanish attacks in H3 after you have used most of your shipments. So this card, Marvelous Year, very good card. I like it. This card might be a little bit broken. We will have to test it, but I think it's an awesome addition. Awesome, awesome, awesome addition. Now let's go to the next card is the Viceroyalty of New Spain. Now keep in mind, what is the Viceroyalty? So Spain had a lot of colonies overseas. Now technically, because Spain was a monarchy, these lands were the king's lands. But because the king would not, there was only one king and there were multiple territories in the world, the king appointed a viceroy, a representative to the king in these new territories. So this card reads Viceroyalty of Spain, meaning one, when in reality there were multiple viceroyalties or states or core territories that were ruled by a viceroy, by a representative to the king. So that's the historical meaning of this card. But now, this card, we will analyze the effects in terms of gameplay. Now, it reads, it ships 2 Hacienda wagons, which can transform into haciendas that settlers may gather resources from or help spawn cows, settlers, or powerful soldados. Now, this card is going to be problematic. And I'm going to say it, I'm going to tell you why. This card will allow you to send to haciendas. To haciendas, will be able to make settlers. So you could possibly have three TCs and two haciendas making settlers. So you could be making settlers out of five different buildings at the same time. If you combine this Viceroyalty of New Spain card with Marvel's Year, your boom could be, you could have your entire economy set up in less than 15 minutes in the game, which is incredibly, incredibly strong. Not only that, these new haciendas, which haciendas are the new buildings, they're the Mexican buildings, it's kind of like a mill and a plantation together. Now it ships to haciendas, and not only can you make settlers, spawn cows, but you can also train powerful soldados. Soldados are the Mexican equivalent of a musketeer. Is a two PuP unit, and I am reading that apparently these soldados shadow tech. What does shadow tech mean? Is that if you create a unit and you age up, as soon as you age up, this unit will receive automatically the upgrades of the next era. You won't have to pay you won't have to research and pay the cost to get the improved unit. Like, let's say you have veteran soldados. The moment you age up, you'll get guard soldados with more hit points and with more attack. Now, this card is very, very interesting. I guess this card attempts to showcase the importance of Mexico for Spain. Mexico, the territory of Mexico was like the jewel of the Spanish Empire. They loved it, and it was a very profitable colony. Mexico was the equivalent to India for the British. India was the jewel of the British Empire. Mexico was the jewel of the Spanish Empire at the time. Now, this card, to be entirely honest with you, I feel will be extremely problematic because the haciendas will definitely create a lot of balancing issues. With the ability of spawning soldados, settlers, cows, it's going to be very problematic. Also, keep in mind that because you now have two hacienda wagons, both of which can host up to 20 villagers each. If you have two of them, you can have 40 villas working the haciendas without having to contest map. Now that is very problematic as well. You're gonna basically you're basically gonna incentivize players staying close to their TC, not really contesting map, not really pushing for map. Very hard to rate as well. So this card, I like it, but I think it's going to be a massive pain in the ass or in the butt for balancing issues. New card as well. We have the Team 1 Falconet, a one light artillery, better against infantry than buildings. For 200 coin, you and your teammates can get one Falconet. I think this card will be excellent in team games, absolutely excellent. But in Supremacy 1v1s, I don't see much use of it, and in Treaty, I don't see much use of it. The new card, Liberation March. All infantry and cavalry train and move faster. Building time reduced by 35%, and speed increased by 5%. Now, this card should be, in paper, only applied to Latin American nations. I don't think this card should be given to Spain because there was not really a liberation march in terms of Spanish people for their nation. There was only one occasion in which I think the Spanish kind of revolted against a foreign power that occupied them, but it wasn't really a liberation march per se. It was more a war, a guerrilla warfare. This card replaces the H2 cards, the infantry school and the fencing school. No, the fencing school and the riding school, two cards that used to do faster infantry time and faster cavalry trading time. So this card is like a buff to Spain. Now you don't have to send two cards, you only have to send one. And I feel like this is problematic. Liberation March is way too good of a card. If the Spanish civilization gets this card, all the other European civilizations should get an equivalent card. Uh, in my humble opinion. So this I don't agree with. Liberation March is too good of a card. Should always and only be applied to nations that actively revolted against their home nation, their home powers, namely the United States, Mexico, and in the future, if they decide to add other Latin American civilizations such as Gran Colombia or the Empire of Brazil, this card should apply to them and not to European powers. Now let's go to the next card, the Spanish Gold. Now this card has been the center of a lot of discussions amongst both experienced and new players. Spanish Gold basically says precious metals from the New World grant additional coin with all your shipments, starting with this one. So how does it work? You send Spanish Gold, and every time you receive a shipment, you get crates of coin near your town center or your economic gathering point. This card was supposed to help Spain overcome its economic kind of weaknesses, both mid and late game. Now, this card has been nerfed constantly since the release of DE. When it first released, I believe it was like 400 coin, maybe more, 450. We're now at 300 coin per shipment, which is very, very, very low. 300 coin per shipment doesn't really amount to much in terms of supremacy. In terms of treaty, this card used to be, it was so good that it allowed certain players to basically have not infinite resource, but be very difficult to drain playing as Spain. So this card, the way it works right now is that you only get 300 coin per shipment. How do I think no, let's talk about the historical aspect of this card. Why is it called Spanish gold? The Spanish were famous for their exploration of the New World, and in their quest of riches and power, they heard a story about El Dorado. El Dorado means the golden city. The Spanish believed that somewhere in the New World there was a city made of gold, and they wanted to bring this gold for themselves and to Spain. Now, the Spanish never actually found the city. It is kind of a legend. But what the Spanish did find was that most places in South America and Central America had a lot of mining resources. They had silver, they have gold, they have diamonds, they had emeralds. So what the Spanish did is that they mostly enslaved local populations to work these mines, and they extracted this coin and then they shipped it back to Spain to, fund their state and their wars. Now, during that time, during this golden era of the Spanish civilization, the Spanish were the most powerful nation on earth. They had the best economy, they had the most resources, and the largest armadas and armies in the entire world. Now, this card is basically trying to reflect that golden age of Spanish imperialism. Now, the way Spanish gold worked in reality is that as Spain became greedier and corrupt and it fought multiple wars on multiple fronts, this gold that came from the New World was no longer sufficient. And there was a lot of problems with taxation, with corruption, with foreign wars. So this gold eventually became less and less important. It had less of an impact in terms of the empire. It wasn't sufficient enough. So the way Spanish gold should work is that Spanish gold should be like 500, like 600 gold the first shipment, 550 the next shipment, 500 gold the next shipment, and so on. Like this, the amount of gold that you should get per crate should be lesser the more shipments you send up to a certain limit, because that's what happened in reality. The Spanish gold flowing from the Americas eventually was exhausted by the Spanish. All the easy gold to get was exhausted very, very quickly, and that gold financed the Spanish wars in Europe, in the Middle East, and against the British Empire. And this card, I feel like just giving it a flat 300 rate is kind of nonsense. It doesn't really make sense. What you should do is you should make Spanish Gold really strong when you first send it and make it gradually slower, weaker as the game goes on. It would fix two problems. It would fix late game treaty um, balance, and it would also fix the the ongoing buffs, not buffs, but the nerfs to this card. This card should play different. I don't agree with the current nerf to this card. I think Spanish Gold is a must for every Spanish deck, whether you play Supremacy or Treaty. But I think the idea is a good one, but the implementation is not the right one. I think you need to Spanish Gold needs to be a top tier card in H3, but 3 shipments later, it should be a normal card. It already paid for itself. It should pay for, this shipment shouldn't be more than 1500 res. It's again, that's my last comment on Spanish Gold. I gave you a little bit about the explanation, the historical explanation of Spanish Gold, and its impact on the game. Now we have 3 new cards in H4. Let's go one by one. The very first card is called the Peninsular Guerrillas, or la guerrilla de los peninsulares. What is a peninsular? A peninsular is it's a word that used to refer to the Iberian Peninsula, the geographical mass where Spain is located. That is a peninsula. It's kind of like a big stretch of land that is connected. It's almost like an island, but is connected to a bigger landmass by a little tiny bit of land. So the Peninsular Guerrillas, what does it do? It gives all ranged infantry plus 25% damage. Now, does that include musketeers and skirmish units, or only skirmish units? Now, if you think about this, 25% damage flat is insane. Is insane because if you pair this card with Unction, we're talking about almost 50, maybe 60% attack damage on all your range units, range infantry units. Spain could have theoretically one of the strongest, if not the strongest skirmish unit in the game with these two cards combined. So in treaty, this card is just gonna make Spain just like top tier, a top tier civ. Like you gotta just spam the skirms, spam some goons, spam some garrochistas, and unless your opponent has a billion horse art ready to shoot you to pieces, and you don't make culverins, you're gonna win because you're gonna outtrade most civilizations. Sure, you don't have the HP, but you have the damage. So this card is excellent. Now, what is the historical significance of the Peninsular Guerrilla card? Let's think about this. There was a time. Well, I bet you'll assume you all know who Napoleon is. Napoleon Bonaparte. He was the French Emperor of France. He went to one of the greatest generals in history. He conquered most of Europe. Well, Napoleon also conquered or attempted to conquer Spain. Now, he occupied the country under a false pretext. So his armies entered Spain under a false pretext. And once the French armies were strategically located in the key Spanish cities, the French Emperor Napoleon forced the Spanish king to renounce his throne and to give the Spanish throne to his, I believe, brother. Yeah, to his brother. So basically, Napoleon basically went into Spain with a false pretext to, attack Portugal because the Portuguese were allies with the British. And while they were in Spain, they were like, oh, you know what? The Spanish army is not really strong. The Spanish have a lot of issues in the New World. Let's just occupy Spain and let's just add it to our list. Now, this was a big problem. Napoleon didn't know this at the time, but the Spanish were going to resist Napoleon tooth and nail. In fact, if you want to think about it in modern terms, the French occupation of Spain was the equivalent of the American occupation of Vietnam or the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan. It was a war it was a guerrilla war that ended up destroying a bigger empire, an empire that had more resources, a better armed forces, better logistics, better organization, and that yet it could not win a guerrilla war against a nation that was united against this occupation. Now, why would the Spanish resist the French so much? Well, I'll tell you why. The Spanish, as you probably know, are very, very Catholic. They're very Catholic. They're very conservative with their values and with their ideas. They were very conservative. Let's just put it that way. Now, the French at the time, they were inspired by the ideas of the French Revolution. So they no longer believe in monarchies. They believe that every man should, make their own way in life, and they didn't believe in that. Now, the French were also against the church. In fact, the clergy was usually an ally of the king or queen or the monarchy. Now, when the French Revolution happened, the new French leadership, the Napoleon, all these new uh, people at power, they basically remove the clergy, they remove the oligarchs, the elites, and they remove the monarchists. Now, Spain was still a monarchy, still a very Catholic nation where the clergy held a lot of power. So basically, the Catholic Church in Spain was basically saying the French are basically the new Antichrist. The Napoleon's the new Antichrist. This guy's gonna destroy Catholicism. This guy's gonna send you all to hell. His armies are inspired by demons. So all this propaganda machine. And the fact that the French occupy these cities, and they betrayed kind of the trust of the Spanish people, and that they forced their king to renounce their throne, kind of infuriated the Spanish into resistance. And when the Spanish committed a guerrilla war against the French troops committed atrocities against local civilian populations. Name it, rape, looting, etc., etc. So it created this effect, of total war in the peninsula. So that is why it's called the Peninsular Guerrillas. And this guerrilla warfare was actually very effective. The British actually, one of the best ways the British were able to stop Napoleon was by funding this guerrilla warfare in Spain, by giving the Spanish militias and armies rifles and guns and ammunitions to fight back. So that's the historical background of this card. I hope it gives you a better idea of what it means and why is it there. This card should stay there. Should it get a 25% damage bonus? I don't think so. Now, let's go to the next card. It's called Nuestras Señoras, which means Our Ladies. And it basically says it ships a mighty battleship. This card may be sent twice only. This is a card that basically mirrors the British equivalent. They got like a super huge, heavy battleship that was very beautiful. Well, this is the equivalent, the Spanish equivalent of it. Not much to say about it. And then they have brand new infinite shipment in age 4. It's called the Battleship. For 1,000 coin, it sends the mighty battleship. It may be said infinite times. So that's it. Those are the brand new cards for the Spanish civilization. I hope you enjoyed this little preview of the April update that is coming up to Age of Empires 3. I gave you my thoughts and ideas on the cards and their historical importance. I will now go into a game simply to test the new unit, which I assume is the Conquistador. I will not be using any cards that are not. Oh wait, this is fast. Hold on. I don't want to play it on fast. I want to play it on normal. Medium. Actually, let me do this. Do this. This. Alright, we're gonna test this right now. I want to see the new card, the Conquistador. I don't know if what the Conquistador is. We'll see. I also want to test the boom. How fast can we boom in Spain? Oh, my resolution is options. Let's go back to this.
Hola.
Oh, my hotkeys! I hate it! Oh, my hotkeys. I don't have hotkeys. Is this grid at least? Yeah, okay, this is grid. At least there is grid. Holy. I'm not a fan of my hotkeys being gone because of the PuP. But we'll do what we have to. Preparado. I'm a big fan of changes that will allow Spain to fight more in H2. I think Spanish H2 should be like way more important. Way more prevalent, I think. Doesn't make sense that Spain is only good in H3. Let's see. I'm gonna age up with 14 vills. Very standard age up. I wish I could also see the time. UI. There you go. Now we can see the time. A second Ottoman would be pretty interesting. I just want a civilization that plays well in H2. I just feel like the current meta of playing fast industrial is just so repetitive and kind of boring in my humble opinion. So we're at 14 vills, 2 minutes into the game. We haven't really claimed that many treasures, but we'll see what we can do here. Here. I do apologize, I don't have my hotkeys, and I don't want to set my whole hotkeys for this PuP. I don't know if I'm going to be spending a lot of time on it. Probably not, but we shall see. Okay. We have another shipment ready, but we're not going to use it. We're going to age up. Let's go for the two cows actually, because it might help for the haciendas. We could even grab a TP in transition. I mean, since we're not going to be doing the fast fortress anymore. We could go fast fortress still. Oh, this would be pretty good actually. My hotkeys! Oh, my hotkeys! Why are my hotkeys gone? Huge. Got this. Put this right here. We'll get a market, I think, in transition as well.
¿Cuál es su comando?
Sí. Constructor. ¿Cuál es su comando?
Hola, cazadora. Cazadora.
Preparado. ¿Qué me ordena? Cazador. Sí. ¡Al ataque!
¿Cuál es su comando?
Sí, cazador. Cazador. Preparado.
Sí. Preparada. Cazadora.
Sí, preparado.
¿Cuál es su cazadora?
Sí. Correcto.
Sí, sí. Voy a hacerlo.
I think this treasure now belongs to me.
Such a funny voiceover. Holy crap.
Hola. Correcto. Preparada. Correcto. Cazadora.
¿Cuál
Cazadora.
es su Sí. Correcto. Al ataque.
See, we can do a
Sí.
stage up.
Sí. Cazadora. Cazadora.
¿Qué me ordena?
Hola. Lo haré. Prepara. Voy a hacerlo.
Sí, correcto.
Hola. Cazadora. Cazadora. ¿Cuál es su...? Sí. Voy a... Sí.
¿Cuál es su comando?
Hola. Cazadora. Cazadora. Cazadora.
Preparado.
¿Cuál es? Corre, lo haré. Cazadora. Sí, cazadora.
Hola. Constructor.
Hola. Constructora. Sí. Preparada. Sí, sí. Voy correcto. Cazadora.
Preparado. Cazador. Sí.
A little bit of a slower age up actually, but
Sí.
too bad.
¿Cuál es su comando?
Je peux pas bouger.
Recolectora. Preparada.
We're still gonna boom like crazy though.
Preparado. Lo así.
Look at this. A little bit of a late age up. We have something. I mean, what if I send this? I could have sent this and been 18. Oh, I should have sent this card. Would have been already in H3 actually.
¿Cuál es su comando?
We do need a tiny bit of.
Correcto.
¿Cuál es cazadora?
Prepara. Recolector.
Hola. Voy. Sí.
Preparado. Correcto.
Alright, boys and girls, we're gonna keep going.
Preparada.
See how far we get with this Spanish build.
¿Cuál es su comando?
This is boom, Spanish boom. Let's see how we do.
Hola. Lo haré.
TC right here.
Correcto.
Spanish gold first. By TC.
Preparado.
By I mean wood for TC.
Lo haré.
Alright, we're on 3 TCs. Then we're gonna send the Haciendas. We should be good. We're gonna make some units to defend ourselves, just in case, but again, it's the AI, I don't think it's gonna do much.
Su comando.
¿Qué me ordena? Leñador.
I'm gonna need some houses, actually.
Constructor. ¿Cuál es su comando?
It's good. Musk.
Preparada. Leñadora.
Leñador. ¿Qué me
Prepara
ordena?
leñadora.
Previene.
This. Send 2 Haciendas now.
¿Cuál es su comando?
Actually, very good.
Hola.
One
Constructora.
more. Then we can send this. Okay. His unit's right here, that's fine.
Preparado. Recolector.
Preparada. Cazadora.
Have that there.
¿Qué me ordena? Lo voy a hacerlo.
So now we have 2 haciendas right now, ready to be fully prepared for this boom.
¿Cuál es su
Okay, good
Correcto.
here.
Cazadora. Hola. Constructora. Preparada. ¿Cuál es? Lo haré.
Now we can produce
I'm your trading post.
villagers
Next time,
here.
your whole empire.
Yeah, I don't
Preparada,
somehow doubt
constructora.
that, but we'll see.
Sí. Sí, sí,
Ah, my hotkeys! Oh, my musk! Okay, we're gonna put this right here.
voy a
Just get the
hacerlo.
upgrade right here. And we can probably just boom TC. Like this, actually.
Hola. Granjera. Voy a hacerlo.
Prepara. Sí.
Let's go here.
Sí.
Sí. Cazadora.
And now we're gonna do the little boom in just a couple of seconds. Just want to get one more update here. Okay, now we're about to send the card. TC 1, 2, 3. I hate the fact that I don't have my hotkeys. It's really annoying. Alright, that's good. Send the card.
¿Cuál es su
Put
granjera?
this right now in here.
Cazadora.
Actually, let me just get one more
Hola.
house.
Constructora.
We're gonna get the boom done. Send that right now. This card could be good for a Fortress Age.
Sí. Recolector.
Preparada. Leñadora.
Alright, let's see how fast this card works. Okay, that's fine.
Sí, lo voy a. Sí.
Speed time here.
Que mi orden. ¡Al ataque!
See? Alright, look at this. Let's see how fast we can get these villies up. We're at 46 vills at the moment. $46 vills. Maybe I should have sent the cows to improve the haciendas. Yeah, I should have done the cows actually. I am gathering a lot of food. Really. Honestly, the hacienda is just being a little bit insane, now that I think about it. It's just kind of crazy. 53 vills at the moment. Making good batches here. Look how quickly these villagers are trading. On 57 vills at the moment.
Hola, recolector.
I could go industrial now.
Sí. ¡Al ataque!
How much is industrial? I'm gonna send this card and we're gonna
¿Cuál es su
I'm gonna go industrial soon.
recolectora?
Sí. Constructor.
61 vills, and we still have the bonus. We have... Look how... It lasts a long time. It really does last a long time, so... Like, with the amount of resources that I have...
Recolector. Hola.
At the same time, I don't know if I want to miss on the entire production by aging up. We'll see. 13 minutes and 47, and we're at 68 vills. Holy smokes. That's insane, boys. That is insane. And these haciendas, if you keep cows in them, they will be able to produce resources as well. Spanish economy is going to be out of the... It's going to be crazy. Look how cheap this is. I'm gonna get the age up right away. Sure, we're gonna miss in a couple of seconds, but we'll do it.
Correcto. Preparado. Recolector.
Sí.
Let's go here.
Recolectora. Preparada. Constructora.
Sí.
75 vills, boys. 75 vills, and we keep on rolling. Keep on rolling.
Lo voy a hacerlo. Sí. Cazadora.
Lo voy
I mean, this AI, obviously a human player wouldn't let you boom this hard, but
Recolectora.
You know, if you turtle, I could have sent this 3 towers in the fort and then just turtle near my my hometown. And with this, I should be able to have 40 vills on food.
Sí.
Yeah, I see some big issues with the SE in this, I think. 80 vills at the moment, and we're at 1457. Pretty big. 82 vills. Damn.
Lo haré.
We are going. We're pumping those numbers, actually.
Lo haré.
Hola. Correcto. Lo haré. Sí.
H5, we're gonna send a factory, because why not? Have some ruddy boys here. Because we need to protect ourselves.
Leñadora.
Now in H4, we should be able to age up even faster. I mean, produce units even faster, because unit turning time is decreased as you age up. I mean, in terms of vills, at least, that's how it works.
¿Qué me ordena? Sí, sí, corra, cazador.
Can we get one more?
¿Cuál es su
¿Qué me
comando?
voy a hacer? Sí.
Sí. Constructora.
That's it, boys. Full boom, 16 minutes in the game. Whole economy, H4 as well. With very good distribution of resources. Now we're gonna make sure these guys work here.
Granjera.
This here, put one here. We're gonna get our cows as well, and that's it. That's the game. That's the game. Like, that's actually the game. Look at how many resources I have, and I'm just floating them as well.
Hola.
Leñador.
Could these boom be faster? Absolutely. These boom could be faster, but
Constructora.
just want to test the power of the economy, the Spanish economy. 1645,
Granjera.
fully built, and I'm still getting the bonus of the marbles here. Like, pretty insane.
¿Qué me ordena? Sí, sí, lo haré.
We can now make a forward base, I think,
Correcto.
and we will test the unction to see how effective it is.
Leñadora.
It's on the factory, because why not? Cows right here.
¿Cuál es constructora?
That is perfect. I mean, the economy is set up. Like, I could go Imperial as well. I could go Imperial in... I'm gonna go Imperial, actually.
¿Cuál es su sí?
Let's go Imperial. Let's get 2,000.
Constructor.
Sí. Leñadora. Constructora.
I'm still gonna go Imperial. Holy. I mean, got 9 cows here, 2 factories.
Lo haré.
I don't know what to say. Oh, and the missionaries are cheaper now. They're only 50 rest each. They used to be a lot more expensive. Okay. Okay there, buddy. Okay there. No.
Sí, sí. Voy a las armas. Voy a hacerlo. ¿Qué me
¿Cuál
ordena?
es su comando? Preparada. Leñadora. ¿Cuál es su comando? Hola. Leñadora.
This. Complicated as well.
Sí, lo haré. ¡Al ataque! ¿Qué me ordena? Sí, me ordena.
¿Cuál es su
Prepara
comando?
leñador. ¿Qué me ordena? Voy a hacerlo. Sí, sí. ¡Al ataque!
Leñadora.
I'll send an unction as well.
¿Qué me ordena? Sí.
¿Cuál es su comando? Sí. Leñadora. Hola. Voy a hacerlo.
Now, I'm not gonna get the ups for the musketeers because I want to test the H2 units versus H2 units, so... Wait a bit.
Preparada. Constructora.
Just 20 cows, so we cannot get any more cows. Let's see the soldados. Let's see if they shadow tech as well. That'll be crazy. They shadow tech. Look how fast they train as well. Holy. Okay, now we will now test the new unction.
Sí. Leñadora.
Let's do this, and one more update. Okay, that's good. All right, unction has been changed. Control 1. These are veteran musketeers with no cards sent, so I'm gonna remove the missionaries from the aura. We're gonna do before and after. Look how fast. Look how far they go. Look at the aura on the missionaries. Humongous aura. Look at the range. Absolutely insanity. Oh, I love the new aura. So, just go for the options, sound. So, veteran musketeer without any upgrades is 27 damage? 27 range damage? Really? It's pretty interesting. So 27 range damage, musketeer, no upgrades, no armory upgrades, no nothing, just plain on Spanish musketeer. Now let's test it with the missionaries here. 10 missionaries gives 35 range damage, so an extra what, 10, almost 10. It's 5, 3, yeah, it's almost like 8 damage more. My math could be wrong, but I think it's 8 damage more. So that is incredibly good. Now speed, how fast do soldados train? That's an excellent question. I believe it's, doesn't really tell me the time, but we can test it out. Okay, this one's gonna spawn. So 16, 17, 18, 19. So 16, let's see. And yeah, it's 10 seconds per soldado. And these guys get shadow tech. So these guys have 630 hit points. Do they have the grenades? I don't think they have the grenades, but I'm gonna test that out. See if they have the grenades. They should have the grenades, right? What else do we need? Oh, I want to test the conquistadors. That's a unit that I want to see. Let's see here. They have the grenades. And with unction, they have 94 range damage with unction. Insanity. Insanity. Absolutely disgusting. Alright, we will do... you have lost. Okay, so I will... No, these guys got shredded. Let's send... let's kill these rods. We need units here. I want to see the new unit, the Conquistador. But, give me just a moment. We'll test that out. I don't know. Oh, actually, we will test the Peninsular card. See if it affects the Musketeers. We'll remove this as well. Because we need to kill a few of these boys to get more Conquistadors. I think Spanish is going to be incredibly strong after this patch. I honestly don't know how they're going to balance this out. The Haciendas seems a little bit strong. The New Year card for Spain is also very, very strong as well. So it's going to be a little problematic. Balancing issues are going to be prevalent, I think. And let's have an idea of how much they produce. Because Haciendas will be able to produce resources on their own. 4.31 food per second. That's excellent. For a free building? What about in terms of coin? That's something that I want to know. Alright, let's kill these guys. That's good. Now we have the Peninsular's card sent. Well, this damage was 27. Oh my god, the card affects Musketeers as well. 33 damage on a Musketeer. just by having this 25% range damage. So it affects musketeers and skirms and musketeers. And if we add the unction, these guys will have a solid 42 attack on musketeers, veteran musketeers. What about what? What's the cheat code? A whole lot of speed? What? Okay, we'll wait it out, but I just want to know the full attack in Imperial. We'll also tell. We're gonna test skirms as well. Might as well, because this seems a little bit crazy here. 51 attack on guard musketeers. Oh my lord. I'm gonna get all the updates as well, all the upgrades. Oh, do I have advanced arsenal? I don't even have advanced arsenal. We might need it for the full effect. This guy's a nuisance. All range infantry. What about natives? Would this work on natives as well? Can you imagine natives unction? Oh my gosh, and 25% damage on all natives? Bro. Bro. Oh my gosh. Okay, Imperial Musketeers, an equivalent of 66 damage. Ouch. Big ouch. Oh my goodness me. Speed always wins. Let me just see this. And skirms now have 43 damage, which is insane. 43 range damage. This is like Forest Prowler, I think, damage at Imperial, if not higher. Oh my goodness. Alright, last card we're going to send is going to be the Reconquista. It's going to give us one brand new unit. Oh! Oh, I know this unit is the Imperial Conquistador. This is this goon type unit. Oh, this card is definitely not worth it then. Oh, this card is officially a really bad card. Why do we send this card just to get goons? No, no, that's a no. That card is immediately a no. The Reconquista should be one of the strongest cards in H2, but it's just giving me extra goons. Why would I need goons in H2? Especially 5 of them. Nah. And these, do they shadow take? They don't feel like they're Imperial Conquista, right? I think they're shadow teched. But the units on those stats are still very bad, so... Okay, boys and girls, that was the game. I hope you enjoyed today's PuP stream. I went over all the changes, my ideas on the bounce, my thoughts on the historical events that inspired some of these new cards. Now, this video will be uploaded into YouTube, so if you missed some of my commentary on the patch on the new cards, it's going to be there. I'm going to end the stream now, but I'll start a new stream in which I'll try different strategies. And again, thank you so much for being with us today. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like. And if you feel like catching me live, I'll be on Twitch. It's been PuP, and take care.